Hello 7 citizens, Black here from CasaBLACK Gaming, and today I'm going to put out not only a vehicle components and weapons loadout, but also some decent mining loadout options for players who want and need just a quick loadout without a bunch of information overload for the Prospector. You can skip to whichever section you need down below in the timeline for your convenience. Now if you find this loadout helpful, please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment to help this channel grow, which is always appreciated. I've also got a new website now where this loadout's graphics are available to view at any time, and I will soon be adding my other loadouts there as well, so go check out CasaBLACKgaming.com. Alright, and so let's go ahead and get right into this loadout. Now I like to start these loadouts off with the ship components first, as they are usually the first point for anyone who might have just recently picked this ship up and need to know how to get the ship going with the best components for getting around the verse and staying safe. So for the first component, let's just talk the power plant, which I honestly did not change on mine, and I've had no issues at all. But if for some reason you still want to, then be sure to pick up the JS400, which can be found on Area 18, Cousin Crows, and Referral 2. Again, I never changed mine, and I've been able to mine just fine. For the cooler, you can skip this as well for now, as far as we know, because they are almost useless for most ships until we get the ship components revamped, probably or maybe later this year. However, I will suggest the Avalanche if you absolutely feel the need to upgrade your cooler for whatever reason, and the locations are on the screen for that as well. Alright, so let's move on to the shields. The FR66 shields, which is the graphic on the screen now, has great distortion shutdown damage, but at a slower reboot time by 12 seconds over the next shield choice. The FR66 does have quite a bit more of a health pool though, and it's the one I actually use. The next shield you can go with is the Palisade, with its pricing and locations also on the screen now. It has slightly more physical absorption over the FR66's. The shutdown distortion damage is quite lower though, and so if you're coming under fire from distortions, which I doubt you'll come under fire a lot anyway, but if you do, this might not be the shield for you. But it does have the quicker reboot time over the FR66, but a lower health pool. Alright, so last but not least, and the one I actually upgraded to first for the ship components, is the Quantum Drive, and that's what I recommend everyone get this as soon as you can. The Atlas is the go-to size engine for most size ones, and it's what I went with in mine. It will help you get around the verse faster, and you will be able to travel further, getting better fuel economy with it as well. Alright, now let's move on to the weapons, and honestly most people just keep the weapons that come stock, which are the size 1 CF117 Bulldogs. You should not be doing much fighting anyway unless you're just pulled out of Quantum while traveling, and these laser repeaters will hopefully allow you to either finish off a target if you can't run, or allow you to slightly defend yourself until you can run, but you should always really be trying to run if you can. The ship has no missiles, so we're just going to move on to the mining builds now. Alright, so as for the mining laser, there are two that you could use depending on your skill at mining and what you might be after in terms of ore. The first choice is what I mainly run with, which is the Hofstede size 1 mining laser. Its only knock is it gives a 10% decrease to laser instability, but it has a 20% optimal charge rate and 60% optimal charge size, and reduces the resistance of any rock by 30%, and will also reduce all inert materials by 30%. The cost is very beginner friendly as well, and it can be found at a lot of places that are listed on the screen. Now for my next recommendation, the Helix size 1, is if you're feeling a little more comfortable and possibly looking to hit up some slightly bigger rocks using this laser's extra power, but you will be putting yourself at risk due to how close you need to be for the full damage amount, which is only 15 meters from the rock. However, you also get to add a second module which you can use to help reduce some of the risk involved. This laser will cause your optimal charge size to drop by 40, which again is why I suggest this only if you're feeling really comfortable with controlling your laser. This laser does reduce resistance on the rocks by 30%, just like the Hofstede, and you also get your inert materials reduced by 30% as well. Now I will share a decent module to pair with this in the next section. Alright, so here we are at the mining modules, which you really need to be using these to help get the most out of your lasers. Now the first one I want to suggest is the Riger C3. It's expensive, but it is a passive module, meaning it does not run out of charges, so it's a permanent fixture. This module will give your mining laser additional power, allowing you to break bigger rocks. It does reduce your optimal charge window by 1%, which isn't that bad. Now if you can only have one module, this is the one I recommend having with you at all times. Now the next module is good if you have the Helix and have that second module option slot. The XTR XL is another passive module that, while it will reduce your extraction laser power by 5%, it will also increase your optimal charge window by 25%, helping you recover some of what you lose by the Helix. You also reduce your inert materials by a further 6%, so that is also a nice little bonus there. So the last module I will go over is if you're feeling a little more adventurous with the Helix laser, and that is the Stampede as a second option. It increases mining laser power, but will also help reduce instability of a rock, which is good if you run into quatanium or some of the more stubborn gold deposits. You reduce shatter damage also. Your extraction laser power gets reduced by 15%, so it can cause you to have longer extraction times, but extraction time is rarely an issue, so this is kind of negligible to me. Keep in mind that this module is dirt cheap because it's not passive, but has 6 uses, so you will want to bring along a few of these and keep them with you at all times. Now let's finish this loadout up with my recommended mining gadgets to take along with you. Alright, I was one of those people who did not always take gadgets out with me before 3.19, but now I take at least 2 with me everywhere I go, and I also have my co-occupants and my mole also bring them along so we have backup. There are 2 that I recommend having with you at all times, the first being the Bohr Max. This gadget is great for quantanium or really stubborn rocks where you see the charge window fluctuating a lot. They reduce instability by 70% and help with how your rocks break into clusters by 30%. But you do lose 10% resistance, but it's a fair trade-off for what you get. Now the other gadget that I always bring along is the Sabir, and it is the one I honestly use the most. It's good for when you're on the border of the mass of a rock you can break and you feel like you need just a little more oomph to get it to break. The Sabir's minus 50% resistance can really be that extra push you need, and you also get something back on your optimal charge window, so that can help your laser out as well. You do raise the instability up by 15%, which is not a terrible amount, but just be ready for that possibility. Also, keep in mind that you can only use one gadget at a time on a rock, so you will need to choose one or the other, never both. Alright, and so that's going to do it for this loadout of the Prospector. I hope you found this useful and are able to get out there and bust up some rocks you might not have been able to bust up before. Now, I would like to experiment a little more with modules or gadgets that I do not necessarily use, so if you guys have done this already and you've got some different options for me, I'd love to hear about them. You can comment below or hop on into my Discord where me and others have some good conversations about the game and the future of Star Citizen, or we just offer new player help as well. Anyway, remember to be kind to your fellow gamer. Always, always, always take along gadgets and stay positive, citizen.